Hello, friends, and welcome to the Boot Room. It's the end of an exciting, busy week at Ipswich Town. 6-0 win on Tuesday, transfer deadline day yesterday, and now, Stuart, it's a trip to Accrington Stanley. Heath, Stuart Watson here to break that down for you. There's no end of talking points ahead of this game, Stewie. So where would you like to start?
Let's start with Accrington Stanley away and what has become a little bit of a grudge match. If you'd have said that as recently as 2018, it would have been laughable to think that sort of Ipswich Town versus Accrington Stanley could become some sort of rivalry. Historically, two clubs that have played at different ends of the pyramid, but they've become third tier equals over the last few seasons. And there's been a bit of narrative building, really, starting from Ipswich losing there in the FA Cup on their way towards relegation in 2019. They've been there three more times since, lost twice, won once, but were really holding on against 10 men. It's been a really difficult place for Ipswich to go, the Wham Stadium. A couple of those results have derailed a bit of early season momentum. Ipswich go there again with some early season momentum. Funnily enough, they went there off the back of a 6-0 win against Doncaster last season, and that didn't end particularly well. They go there again off the back of a 6-0 home win this week. So a real test of character for Kieran McKenna's men.
There's no end of narrative around this game, Stu. And if I was a boxing promoter, I'd be billing this game as someone's has got to go, or in this case, might go. It's a meeting of two of the three sides left unbeaten in League One. Obviously, Town have won significantly more games. They've played a game more. Accrington have drawn four of their first five games, won the other. So again, intrigue with unbeaten sides matching up.
Yeah, and part of that grudge as well is obviously the Andy Holt, Sam Morsy side of things as well. The two games last season, Ipswich went up there, as I mentioned, lost 2-1, got bullied a little bit. Colby Bishop, Harry Pell were a real handful up front. Neither of them at Accrington anymore. But Ipswich lost there, and Sam Morsy called them a horrible, disgusting team afterwards. They play, I think he said they play like a non-leagued side. They kick the ball out the ground to time waste. Didn't hold back on his thoughts about Accrington after that match. Fast forward to the reverse fixture in January at Portman Road. Ipswich win. Sam Morsy has a bit of an off the ball incident with Ethan Hamilton, a flailing hand. Their chairman Andy Holt decides to share the footage on Twitter afterwards. Calls Sam Morsy an S house. The FA look into it. Don't know if they would have done had it not been for Mr. Holt. And Sam Morsy gets a 4-game ban at a crucial stage of the season. So, a little bit of spice going into this one, which we like.
I love it. There's no end of selling points for this game. One of the other talking points clearly is Town have just added two players on deadline day, Stu, Gassana Hadmi and Panuche Kamara. How do you see those fitting into this squad? We're not going to see Kamara, are we? For example, he's injured at the moment, but Hadmi is on a hot run of form, played well against Town, scored 5 goals already this season for League One's worst side. Do you think we might see him?
Yes, I'm certain we will at some point because he is a man in form. He scored 5 goals already this season. 4 of them have come in the last week. He scored two in a league game last weekend. He scored 2 more in the trophy in midweek. Will he go straight into the starting 11? Well, we'll come on to that in a minute when we predict the team. But he's involved. Kamara, as you say, isn't. He's had finished last season injured at Plymouth with a hamstring injury. Had a few minutes in pre-season, but has not featured yet so far this season because of a little groin niggle. Doesn't sound like he's too far away. He's going to train this morning. Kieran McKenna's told us, but they're going to tread carefully with him and make sure he's bang up to speed before he's involved. So only one of the 2 new boys will be involved, and I'm sure he will be involved at some point.
We'll see him at some point. Good option off the bench perhaps tomorrow. In terms of team news, before we get to your team, Stu, there's obviously updates as well from Kieran McKenna this morning on injuries seen on Tuesday night. But really bad news on Shawnee Aluko and a little bit better on Connor Chaplin. Do you want to just bring people up to speed with what Kieran told you this morning?
Yeah, it didn't look good for Shawnee. Just before half time when he went down, he's not a player that goes down and stays down very often. So when he did, you had to take it seriously. He looked in real discomfort, had to be sort of helped off two physios. He needs surgery. It's a knee injury that's gone into his hamstring. It was described as by Kieran McKenna. He's going to have some surgery on Monday, and he's going to be out for several months. So not good news for someone who's obviously 33 years old and in the last year of their contract. We wish him well. And now Ipswich Town are one player light on that sort of attacking midfield side of things. Connor Chaplin obviously plays in the same position. He was due to be on the bench in midweek. Had to be withdrawn just before kickoff because he felt a little twinge in his groin having a shot in the warm-up. They took him off the bench just as a precaution. Hasn't trained since. He was due to train again as we speak. Friday morning, they were going to see how he was after that before deciding whether he features tomorrow. But hopefully nothing too serious there.
Okay, before we get to your team, with the Aluko injury, he's obviously been part of a rotation of forwards. If he's not started the game, generally they've come off the bench and they've used those substitutes in that attacking area. Who do you see stepping up to replace Aluko? How can Town fill that gap? Because they're still going to want to keep that rotation, keep fresh forwards coming on, you'd imagine. Yeah,
I think the first choice two for those two number 10 positions would be Chaplin and Harness. I think they've Harness is scoring goals for fun at the start of his Ipswich Town career. Chaplin, I think, is really improving in that role in season 2 for Ipswich. Scored a really good free kick last weekend. But they will need backup and rotation, as you say. Aluko is now out of that. Tyrese John Jules, we've seen, can play in that position. Interestingly, McKenna's spoken about both of the new boys, Ahadmi and Kamara, being able to play that role. I think Ahadmi's best position is as a striker, as a number 9. And I think Kamara's best position for me is more of a sort of a box-to-box midfielder. But both of them can play in those number 10 positions. So I'm sure that came into the thinking a little bit with the signings on Thursday.
The only wild cards we might see get a chance in that position. So we've seen Cameron Humphreys play there against Charlton last game of last season. Your colleague, Andy Warren, suggested maybe someone like Carl Edwards could even play in there. Is that something you'd agree with?
Yeah, both of those two as well are options. So, Ipswich are hardly light on numbers, are they? I think the first team squad now is up to 24, 25. So, both these two new signings are not necessarily going to be week in, week out starters, but they've given that strength in depth for the Saturday, Tuesday hectic schedule of League One that is to come. And I guess Tuesday night was a reminder that just when you think you're well set with a squad, it only takes one injury or one or two injuries in the same position out of the blue to derail you a little bit. But and we saw that last season when like Morsy got suspended or Evans was out towards the end of last season, and they maybe didn't have sort of like for like replacements this season. I think they've got sort of quality and depth across all positions. So hopefully they'll be able to ride out any more Aluko surprises, which we hope don't happen, but they're well stocked and hopefully able to sort of to see those situations out.
Tuesday is a perfect segue into your team, Stu, because obviously they made 11 changes on Tuesday night. What are you expecting to see when the team takes to the field tomorrow at the Wham?
It's going to be interesting because Ipswich should have beaten Barnsley last weekend. We know they were robbed of a goal through Mr. Martin, the referee. But putting that aside, I didn't think that they'd hit their previous high standards that we'd seen against MK Dons. Thought it lacked a little bit of the intensity and tempo, bar the sort of the late banging down of the door. Didn't think Ipswich were bang at it. And then he changes the whole 11 against Northampton, and they put in a really professional performance to win 6-0. So does McKenna kind of reward one or two from that team and put them into the team this weekend? It'll be interesting to see. I think, as always, his selection will be based on horses for courses and what type of game Accrington is. This game is going to be Burton away, take 2. And yes, Ipswich showed a great deal of character to win that game 1-0, but they weathered a serious storm in the first half, and there will be some things that they need to improve upon from that game. McKenna picked Greg Lee over Leif Davis, for example, for that Burton game to deal with their physicality. That might be something that he looks at again. Cameron Burgess is obviously someone that can come in and head balls away. There's going to be a lot of long throws and crosses into the box. Might Burgess be preferred to either Edmondson or Wolfenden, possibly? Richard Keogh's another option at the back. So, I think there might be some selections made based on what this type of game is, as supposed to kind of form.
Okay, well, give us your team so we can use our fancy graphic we've got this season. Run through your selection and then maybe talk us through the working out.
Walton in goal, Donasian. Then it's where it starts to get a bit interesting. I'll go with Wolfenden at the heart of the back three.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with Burgess coming in for Edmondson on the left. That was the change that was made recently at Shrewsbury, but it could easily be Keogh as well. I don't know if they feel he's sort of bang up to speed yet, but we'll see. Burns on the right, as long as he's still okay fitness-wise. As I say, it's a really tough call between Davis and Lee on the left. I'll go with Lee just because of the sort of game that I think it might be. Morsy and Evans in central midfield. I'll jump to up front where I think Freddie Ladapo will go again. Big moment for him to finally get that sort of monkey off his back in midweek and get his first goal. Biggest cheer of the night when he scored in stoppage time. He'll be itching to go again. So I'll put him up front. And then the two in behind, as long as Chaplin's okay, it'll be Chaplin and Harness. If Chaplin's not okay, Tyrese John Jules. And that obviously leads me to say that Ahadme, I think, will be an impact sub. It will have just been a hectic week for him. Deadline day, emotionally, getting to Ipswich, signing, going through all of that. He'll have only played with his teammates for the first time today. But Accrington away feels like the sort of game for him. He's a physical, strong striker who can go and bump into centre halves and chase down the goalkeeper. But yeah, off the bench to go and cause a bit of chaos and carnage if needs be. That would be my hunch.
Just on Ladapo, obviously he scored his first goal, which is nice to see, wasn't it, on Tuesday night? He is now, with the window shut, he's now the kind of established senior striker in this squad. Ahadme, yes, he scored 5 goals this season, but he's not experienced to the level that Ladapo is at this level. What have you made of Ladapo so far? Because clearly the criticism of him has been, well, he's not scored yet. And before he even started playing for Town, the knock on him was from Rotherham end was the work rate maybe isn't there. What have you made of him as assessment so far, Stu, as that striker?
Yeah, you're right. That was the kind of the question mark against him from Rotherham fans is that he's a natural goal scorer, but you're not necessarily going to get that work rate from him. So the thing that's pleased me most is I've seen that work rate. He looks like someone who's really unselfish, has worked hard for the team, and I think that's what a striker in this McKenna system needs to do. I don't think they're necessarily built to be reliant on a 20-plus goal a season striker, which are a little bit mythical at times. We talk about those. They're not 10 a penny. But with the goals flowing from Harness, Chaplin, Burns, Morsy, etc., I think the striker's role is to facilitate others, is to do that unselfish work of running the channels, occupying centre halves, triggering that high press. And I think he's done a lot of those things. So I wasn't too concerned about the lack of goals. Yes, every striker wants their first goal just to get that monkey off the back. So it was nice for him to get it in midweek. Hopefully that kind of relieves any sort of pressure on his shoulders. And I'm hopeful that he can kick on from here. And obviously now with another striker in the building, he's got just that another little bit of extra motivation to go out there and do it week in, week out. So, I'm hopeful. I'm quietly pleased with his start and hopeful that there's plenty more to come from Freddie.
Okay, all of which brings us to the prediction, Stu, which I'll ask you shortly. While you gather your thoughts, let's pause for a quick look at some key stats around this game. Right, and Stu, those are the key stats, but the key stat that everyone wants is what Stuart Watson thinks is going to happen at the WAM Stadium. Clearly not a happy hunting ground for Town in the past. they're in the process of hopefully changing some perceptions around the team, what they're capable of. So are they going to get a win at the Wham? What are you saying?
I'll jump to it. No, I've gone with it. I've gone with a draw on this one. As you say, both teams unbeaten. Accrington are a really awkward opposition, certainly away from home, tight pitch. It's as I say, it's going to be Burton all over again. And I think Ipswich are a little bit fortunate to get the win at Burton. So I'll go with a draw. Accrington have had plenty of those so far. 1-1.
1-1. I think I'm going to say 1-1 as well. I feel like this could be Town's first loss, but my heart tells me this is a different Town side and they're going to find a way to get a point. And I would not be surprised at all, I don't know about you, Stu, to see Sam Morsy on the score sheet.
Either on the score sheet or sent off.
Yeah.
We'll see which way it goes, but he's certainly going to be fired up for this one, I think.
Absolutely. As are you. You're about to hit the road, so I'll let you get on. Thanks for joining us, friends. If you are going to the game, enjoy it. If you're not, follow it with the boys. Stu, Andy and Ross will all be there. We're both saying 1-1. Hopefully we're both wrong and Town do get the win. We will see you, whatever happens, in the next video.